All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Church Windows Quick Class user group webinar, coffee break quick class for payroll, the 941 liability account with payroll reports. Welcome to everyone. My name is Josh. I'm going to be your presenter today. We're going to work for about the next 20 minutes or so. It is promptly 1 p.m. Eastern time here, albeit my computer appears to be off a little bit, but I'm pretty sure we're right at 1 o'clock. Just a few things before we get started. First of all, if you've never attended a webinar, on the top side of your little control panel there, click the little red arrow. It minimizes the webinar control panel, control pane, what have you. You'll get the full visual effect, or if you've got a dual monitor set up, just drag that off to your second desktop just to get it out of the way. Second, we keep everyone muted. There's just so many folks here logged in, there would just be too much white noise for me to have to yell over. So if you do have questions for us during the webinar presentation today, please expand and type those in the questions portion of your control panel. Marla's here answering questions for me today. Thank you to her. But she'll be answering questions here, so if you have them about the 941 or tax liability or what have you, please don't hesitate to type those in. She may ask you to call us on support if something about your question occurs as being specific to your data, not because she can't answer it, but because it requires more information, oftentimes about your particular data or your setup or something. And so it's not because she doesn't want to answer it, she just simply can't, and we need to put those off to a support call. Finally, before we move into our topic here, I'm going to open up our website here. If you go to churchwindows.com, if you've never been here before, please visit this page. It's chock full of information. Down here in the lower left under support, right here, using Church Windows. Below that, we've got the support section. We have our new version resources and our Church Windows support blog. Both of these pages are full of information and recordings of previous webinars. Here's our new version resources page. We've added a couple here just within the past couple of days, and we'll be adding more and more recordings of webinars here over the coming weeks and months. Also our support blog, searchable by topic, including, if we go to the support blog, notice here separated by module at the top, including payroll. So right here you're going to probably find all kinds of payroll documents and things here that will prove helpful for you if you have questions about Church Windows Payroll. So please use these resources. They're here and available anytime, 24/7. And you might find your answer quicker there, before a support technician calls you back. All right. The 941 tax liability and our payroll reports. This is a really very common support question. It's also a really common problem, too. The payroll module and Church Windows accounting work in sync with one another. The payroll, as it's calculated, transfers really pretty seamlessly over to our accounting system, okay? Once your payroll's calculated, you would go to system administration, account number setup. The first and foremost important thing about this is that we would want to ensure that each one of our employees down here under the lower left under our tax liabilities and specifically federal are linked to the proper 941 tax account in accounting, okay? If that's not correct or if that's incorrect, we're going to have all kinds of problems, all right? So that's always one of the things that I always feel is important is double check your payroll and make sure that as you scroll through each employee that each one is linked to the proper federal tax account, okay? That will minimize or in fact probably do away with most of your payroll, your tax question problems or tax problems as far as the account's concerned, the liability account. Also, if you have state taxes, you'll want to double check your state taxes while you're here too, okay? So that's the first thing to minimize or to remove or reduce problems with regards to the tax accounts is to ensure that each employee is linked to the proper and correct account. Okay. one of the things that I wanted to mention on this particular call is, or on this webinar, is the 941 for Church Windows is updated at the end of March every year. Okay, so our payroll update that is released at the end of March and every year updates the 941 from the prior year's form to the current year's form. So we had a payroll update right in the very last week. I think it was like March 29th of this year that it was released. SR2, so payroll 2015 SR2 was released at the end of March that specifically updated the 941 form. That too will help minimize your problems, is to ensure before you file your first quarter's 941 that the year is correct on your form. Okay, if you're unsure, check the page on our website to make sure that you have the current version of payroll downloaded and installed. Okay. Once those things are in place, then really the payroll is, assuming all of our employees are set up and set up properly with their proper taxable status, whether they're paying federal income tax, what are they paying into tax, what is considered taxable, all of our deductions are set up properly, either pre-tax or not, are all of our allowances set up properly, then the payroll module then subsequently takes care of 95% of our work with regards to our taxes. Okay, the remaining 5% is simply where do we obtain the amount that we owe for the requested or respective deposit period, and then checking with that with our account balance in accounting. And that's really what we're here to talk about today. Essentially, there are two ways to be able to determine your amount of your tax liability for your 941 payment. One is to go to reports, go right up here to tax reports. We go down to our quarterly 941 form. This has changed a little bit. It's the reporting is changing here in our Church Windows Payroll, so it looks a little different. I'm actually going to back this up to the first quarter for 2015. I think I have data in for the second quarter, but I'm going to be comparing this to the information in the first quarter for in accounting too. So we're going to change it to first quarter. Notice all of our available deposit schedules are here, semi-weekly, monthly, or quarterly. Most churches are monthly, but definitely run it for whatever the mandated deposit schedule is per the IRS. If you're unsure, you can contact them, and they'll let you know what your deposit schedule is. We're going to run it monthly here, since that's probably what most are, and you, of course, have to make sure that your deposit state is correct right here. Okay, so definitely check all of those things and make sure you're choosing the appropriate information. We're going to go to next. We don't have any third-party designee information. We don't have any paid preparer information, so we're just clicking on next through these. The system then pops up and asks us the question. The total deposits for the period is this amount correct? And it populates here with the amount that payroll thinks is correct. This figure is gathered and taken directly from the totals that are calculated or that are taken or are calculated as you calculate your payroll. Okay. So unless I know there's a reason why this amount is not correct, 99% of the time I'm going to respond to this by saying yes. Okay, again, this is all taken based on your calculated and posted payroll. So I don't have any reason to doubt that this figure is wrong, so I'm going to click yes here. Okay. So we're going to click yes. It then reveals our actual completed 941 form for the first quarter per our request, right up here, January, February, and March. All right. And then if I go to page 2 here, let me get rid of my drawings, and I go to page 2, here are each one of my monthly deposit totals, January, February, and March, and my total for the quarter. Okay. As I develop these webinars, one of the things I like to point out to folks about it is that, if you've got a lot of salaried employees or you've got hourly employees that work a very consistent number of hours during the period, you're going to see a really very consistent figure based on your deposit schedule here. Okay. if I came in here and saw a very drastic difference, I might be concerned. Now, I'm not concerned about month 3 here. Maybe I had some folks, or maybe I added a new employee during the month of March. Maybe there were changes in wages or pay or something, like through a pay increase or something. Perhaps I had employees that worked some additional hours or something. So, okay, so even this amount, between my 228 and my 3416 isn't generating an enormous concern for me at this point, okay? But notice here between January and March, I've got literally less than $1 difference, or a little more than $1 difference between my first and second month of the quarter's totals, okay? These are the amounts that I need to record my tax deposits for in my accounting system, okay? Again, based on this amount of this information that I'm seeing here, these should be the exact balances that I have sitting in my tax liability account in accounting, okay? And we're going to check that. So actually, I have to bring up the report and close out of it. I can't do what I'm wanting to do here with this open. I'm not going to close payroll, but I'm going to minimize it, and we're going to reopen accounting. And I'm going to go to my Manage Accounts. We're going to find our 941 taxes payable right down here. We're going to click on that, and we're going to click our Balance tab right here. And what do you know? Our first month for January shows $2287.24, which was the exact amount that payroll said we owed for the month of January. If we do the math between our February total here and January, we're going to find it's going to show the $2288.84, and based on the total of the quarter that we had just seen on our 941 form for the entire quarter, the $7792.56 is our entire tax liability for quarter 1. So, if everything is set up and linked and transferred properly, these exact amounts, the balance in our tax liability account, should match the total on our 941 every single month. Okay, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, that if everything is properly set up and linked properly, the exact balance of each one of those tax liabilities should be waiting in that account, waiting for us to pay. Okay. We can literally now just go into Pay Bills, go to Quick Pay, View Vendors with the Balance. Here's my 941 tax account. Now I have a larger balance in there because I have monies that are unpaid through the end of June here. But it has at least the amount I owe, and we've confirmed that the totals for January are correct. So I'm going to create my payment, and I'm going to backdate that to something like, February 5th, or whenever I decided to pay my January tax payment. I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to plug in my 2287.24, and I paid that electronically through EFTPS. Choose electronic. I can enter comments, January, federal tax payment, and simply click on Post. I'm not going to print it. So now, when we've finished with posting our first month's tax payment for the first quarter, I'm going to go back to my Manage Accounts, click on my 941 taxes payable, click the balance, and what do you know then? The now February balance does match the 2288.84, which again is what my month of February, or second month's tax liability, in fact, was. This is literally how this should be for you folks. Every single time, you should be able to go into payroll, run the report, either the 941 report or the pay period deductions report. I'm going to jump back into payroll here momentarily and walk you through that. But you should be able to come over into accounting immediately after you transfer the pay, check this account balance for the 941 tax account, and the exact amount of taxes that were withheld should be sitting here waiting for you. It literally is that easy. Okay. Let's go back. I did promise that I would tell you another way to run the report to show your pay 941 totals for the period. If we go to Reports and Pay Period Deductions Report, we'll leave it as all of our employees here, and we'll go right to Next. So here we would enter let's say we're going to do the February total. If you're semi-weekly, you would run it from February 1 to February 15th. Okay, so we're going to go to February 1 Whoops, Josh, come on. 01 to February 28th. Click Next. And now when we look at our 941 report here, we see right here on the left-hand side below our totals, our 941 deposit, and there you go, it matches our 2288.84 total that the report said we owed. So there are two different ways that we can still run our payroll reports to tell us exactly what our tax liability would be. So either using your 941 form itself or the pay period deductions report will tell us that information that we need. Okay. And again, unless you have any reason to believe that tax deposit amount should be different, you're going to say yes to the confirming what that tax liability deposit is each and every time. Okay. Now, with just a couple minutes or a few minutes here left is, the question for some of you may be asking is, well, what if those totals are different? Okay. What if somewhere along the line something has gone, awry or historically? Okay. What I can point you to are tools that both accounting and payroll offer you that allow you to compare those accounts. Okay. First of all, if we jump back to accounting really quickly, my recommendation is going to be let's say we did have a month, where there was a total that was incorrect. We would go right back into our chart of accounts. I would click the 941 taxes payable account. Many folks may or may not be aware of this, but once you choose an account, we would jump over to the print button right over here on the detail tab to the right. That's a direct link to our general ledger account there. And so if I click on that, it opens up my general ledger options with my 941 taxes payable account pre-selected right here under single account. I then simply have to go down and choose the balances for month in the lower left corner. Okay, so I would come down and choose for month, whatever month I had a question about. Okay, let's say March. And then simply, once I click print, it then opens up the report here. Actually, I wanted to choose January. Let's change that back to January. There's a reason why. Or February. Well, no, January's fine. Nope, we're going to do February. But what occurs here is, and this is how this account works, is you literally should be able to see, a bunch of payroll transactions and then the periodic payment depending on your deposit schedule. That's it. So again, there's a really good deal of consistency regarding this account. I see my payroll transactions crediting it for the taxes that are withheld, and then based on my deposit schedule and when my payments to the government are made, then I do see the payment, whether that's semi-weekly, 2 payments per month, or whether I'm monthly or quarterly. I'm going to run this general ledger report for the 941 taxes account. Okay. Then, if I still have further questions and this report doesn't present me with any resolution for my problem, I'm going to perhaps consider jumping back over to my payroll module, and we're going to go into reports, accounting transfer audit report. I'm going to choose the pay period in the month that I have a question about. So let's say I have one for for January. I would then click next. And then here I can see the actual transactions that have been transferred over. If it says posted to CW, yes. Okay. And not only can let me maximize this window here a little bit. Not only can I see the transactions that were created, right here, the transaction numbers, but over here for things like my federal withholding, okay, I can see exactly which account was credited. I've done this with lots of folks throughout the years, folks, and you'll be surprised at how often, a user will come in here and they'll run a report and they'll go back month by month, and what do you know? They'll find one employee where their federal taxes were somehow credited to a different account, state tax liability, or to an expense or something, And once we've gone through this report, it reveals to us exactly what we've done wrong and what we need to do to fix the problem. So, that, those between your general ledger report in accounting and your accounting transfer audit report in payroll, that should be able to, those two reports combined together should be able to help you resolve your questions with regards to your 941 tax account. So that's 20 minutes, folks. I'm going to wrap it up there with regards to what I'm talking about. With regards to the topic at hand. So I'm looking over here in questions to see if anything's coming in, and it looks like there's really nothing happening. Looks like there might have been some audio stuff going on here. I hope everybody's been able to hear me okay. But I'll just go ahead and sit here momentarily to see if anybody's got any questions they need to type in. You're most welcome, Carrie. Thank you so much for attending. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any questions popping in there. Maybe that means I've done a really thorough job. I hope it's been helpful. Again, you're very welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for attending. Again, please check the current list of user group webinars at our website. We have we're going to be sending out an email, but the July events are already on the user group webinar page at our website, so please check out that current list. Also, again, just as a reminder to folks, you may have received an email. We do have the 40% discount on our live web training through the month of August this year. So please, if you're really looking for some personal or individualized training, please check the live web training link at our website. That's a really, really great deal right now. So if you're needing this could be a perfect time to get some of that. Otherwise, great. I'll go ahead and end the webinar for everybody, and we look forward to seeing you at another Church Windows User Group webinar. Thank you all. Take care. Have a good day. Bye-bye.